Leon, I butchered his name during the Mayor's Awards. I'm like, Leon, teach me how to say your last name so I don't screw it up during the Mayor's Awards. And he teaches me, and I'm like, I can't get it. I can't get it in like 5 seconds. So
well, we have Leon here, so let's just all say it together. All right, you say it, and we'll all say it with you.
Okay, yeah, Leon, you go first.
Okay, Araujo.
Oh, Jesus.
Araujo.
Araujo.
Araujo. Araujo.
Yeah, Araujo.
You got it?
I missed the double B because I just said Araujo, and that is not it. It's Araujo.
I'm sure he won't walk out.
Araujo. Araujo.
Araujo.
Araujo.
Araujo.
Araujo.
Yeah, and we'll say my last name next.
Okay.
And then yours.
Yeah, Oberndorfer.
Yeah. Hey, see, years have passed. You've gotten pretty good at it.
Oberndorfer.
Open the door for.
Oh, yes. See, I've heard that too. Yes, thank you. It's the polite version of the last name. Oberndorfer. Oberndorfer.
Oberndorfer.
Open the door for.
Yeah,
Oberndorfer. That's pretty good. Okay. Leon you may know him as Noise Explosion, visual artist. You have a show coming up here soon. And then
Moms love it.
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely.
Of course.
What's your experience on social, particularly Instagram, Leon?
So
what are your thoughts?
I enjoy posting on Instagram, and I enjoy the connection with people because I feel like I communicate with a lot of people, and there's a lot of times where I've met or I know somebody from their username. And then I see them and I'm like, hey, you're so-and-so. And they're like, yeah. And I'm like, what's your name though? Because I don't really.
But username that's a big, part of it as well. I'm easy. I'm just Todd Oberndorfer, so I'm pretty easy to follow. But I do know a lot of people that are simply known by, in your case, it's Noise Explosion, right?
Yeah,
right.
Noise_explosion.
Very different than your name. So let's go back to the importance for you of choosing that name. When did that come about? Yeah. When did that become synonymous to Leon?
It started, I think it was with like Need for Speed, like the video game. I created an account on the
Need for Speed?
Yeah. So I created an account there and I was like, that's a cool car name. I was like, I'll do that. And it just kind of like transitioned on from there to Instagram, and then I put it on my Facebook, and it was just like something that I never thought it would be.
Are you a Fast and Furious fan?
No. I am not.
Well, my family's rewatching them again, started last night. The whole thing? From the first, yeah.
First
your wife is like the biggest geek I've ever known.
I know.
I absolutely love it. And I don't necessarily see her participating in that culture, so it's really, really fun to see that anyway. And so has Noise Explosion become part of, the culture of who you are as an artist as well? Do you use that name for your art?
I do now. At some point, it kind of became like people would talk to me and they're like, hey, you're Noise Explosion. I'm like, yeah, I am. And I kind of like that they didn't know my name at times. So it's like, I'll just go by that. I started kind of tying into it. It was like, how can I show or utilize this username that I created back in high school when I had no idea it was going to become a thing. So noise, I kind of take it as like, all right, I like advertising a lot. Let's make some noise. Let's create a buzz over it or whatever. And that's kind of like what the explosion would be now to me, I guess, is let's just create hype for something and like do a thing. And that right now is me. I am just kind of doing my art and
noisy. Well, that's what I think of with you. It's noisy for sure.
I'm definitely very noisy. Yeah. I'm actually kind of quiet, but
not when it comes to your work, though.
Well, hopefully.
That's how I see it.
Hopefully that speaks on its own. So.
Well, I think now's probably a good time. We'll kind of bounce back and forth between the two of you to get to know you just a little bit. Visual artist, graphic designer. What's your elevator pitch? What's your spiel? And I'm sure it grows as an artist as well.
I keep adding
but you still have to hone that elevator pitch though.
So I essentially, the way that I describe myself would be just a visual artist that specializes in digital media, photography, and now I want to say murals because that's just what I want to go into. You should.
You've done how many? 6?
5.
5. Okay.
Yeah. So I started last March, I think it was.
You've done 5 in a year?
Mm-hmm.
Seems like a good year.
I think you can call yourself a muralist if you do 5 in a year.
I want to do more.
Yeah. So let's talk about your first mural. When did that come about? How did that come about? I think that sort of approaching that first opportunity is everything when it comes to somebody that might be interested in doing a mural, taking their work to that possible next level? Because I know plenty of visual artists that I think would be great muralists, right? But it's A, not for everybody, and B, they just haven't had the opportunity or haven't made the opportunity to find a nice public wall, right?
Yeah.
Or location. So let's hear about your very first wall.
So the very first wall was for Soul City Coffee. It was over on Washington Boulevard between 35th and 36th.
Now, did they know?
They didn't know that I did any murals or anything like that. I just saw that we're opening, and at some point, I was like, "Hey, I can do a mural here," and they were like, "That would be very helpful." And I was like, "Yeah."
Wait, no, back up. Did you like approach? You went and talked to them? Did you know them?
Yeah, I did know them. So
Relationships help, so
Yeah.
obviously
Yeah.
that's a
Yeah.
good first step.
Yeah, so that was I did know them, which is Gordon Greenwood. He plays around. He plays music
Yep.
and is a great artist as well. So I did know them, and I approached him. I was like, "Hey, I would like to do a mural here if that's something that you're wanting to." And he was like, "Yeah, that would be great. That would be very helpful. We can't pay you." I was like, I was like, "No, you know what?
Exposure.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
like, "That's totally fair."
And then you
This is
had
your
him
first
play
one,
for
though.
free at your birthday party, so that's perfect. Yeah.
Well, I'll still I'll cash in eventually, I guess. No, I'm pretty thankful because I like to think of those opportunities at times of like, how else am I going to show somebody that I can't do a mural?
Is that Todd? Is
Like-
that like artists? Is that like interning? We were talking about you have to intern to be a tattoo artist. But if you got to get a job first. You have to show your work first. So if it's free, it's free. Is that like how you do it in the art world? Like how does this
It's
work?
all relative, and hopefully, definitely my experience working with students in the university and obviously working with internships there, the default for internship opportunities are not free anymore. So sorry, people out there who want free interns. Like that's not the go-to anymore. Like there are expectations that you are going to do more than just like allow them to get 3 credits for working for you for however many months, right? And so I do think and hope and cross my fingers that we've turned that corner in the road. I don't know if it's true everywhere. I think when it comes to initial opportunities for anybody, that is truly a personal thing. I think that, that one free opportunity, I wouldn't pay for any of my like paint, supplies, things like that. I would have them pay for all of that.
Yeah, which is kind of like the main thing.
That's a
that I
big
said.
chunk.
I was like,
That's
I'm
a
not paying
huge
for
chunk
that.
of that, right?
Yeah.
And so it's knowing the whole story. It's obviously that he's starting a new business, and so you're sort of partnering when it comes to that to some degree. And so I think that I've done my share of free work. There's no question about it, right? I don't wish that on anybody because I think every artist is worth, just period. And so I think it's more of a personal thing. I would hope as your portfolio starts to build up, as the relationship starts to build up, sometimes that very first one he took a chance on you.
Definitely
Right?
did, because he didn't ask for any of my work.
Okay, that was going to be my next question. What sort of pitch that you had to make for him? And
yeah,
I'm sure at this point, you've gotten after 4 or 5 of these that you probably draw up a nice little sketch, you present some options, that type of thing. The fact that you had free reign in a brand new space, wow. See, I would maybe take that into account as well. It's just like, maybe I'm not getting paid for this per se, but what an incredible opportunity.
Yeah, so I like the wall. I was like,
I like the wall.
I wanna.
No, that means a lot.
I don't wash it.
Yeah.
I was
No, it's great
everybody's gonna
exposure.
drive by it.
Yeah.
So I said I'll paint something. I was like, what do you like? He's like, well, the whole thing is kind of like music. So I was like, all right, I'll paint something with like a guitar. And so I drew it up, and I like to draw skeletons a lot. I do a lot of skulls and things like that. And so I drew the whole wall. I took a picture, did it digitally, and he liked it. But he was like, you know what? Instead of a guitar, can you put a microphone? I was like, yeah, sure. And he's like, and can you add Soul City to it? I was like, yeah, I totally can do that. Turns out the city doesn't allow that. You can't have advertising in a mural.
But because does he not own the lot, or how does that work?
No, I just think it's because for it to be considered a mural, it can't be advertising. So by having the name of a business on the actual mural, then that doesn't.
Mirrors are complicated, even in the private spaces. It's one of those things.
What if you? Oh, I don't know. I doubt he owns the lot. But if you own the lot,
If it's your own personal space, probably a separate, path.
Yeah, because that's like your sign. Like I'm going to make a sign. It's a mural. Oh, I lost my camera.
Or
It's
the
a
building.
mural. Yeah.
If you own the building.
Yeah.
I'm not sure. Maybe just to be added onto the mural database. That's my guess.
I'll tell you what, that still shows you, even as a muralist, all those steps that are involved. You're like, well, I love to draw and I love to paint. And you're like, well, that's just a start of it. You also have to be able to do this. And particularly the more that you do it, there's more that business side of how to do it, right? And so knowing what you can legally do with the city, if you want to involve the city's opinion on that, right? We all happen to be part of Ogden City's Arts Advisory Committee, right? And so that's, as a committee, particularly one of our subcommittees called Public Art, that's what we do, right? And so we'd love to give advice on that. We'd love to, be a second set of eyes, if we need to. I do know that that's not a required thing for a lot of these murals.
No, but if you're listening to this podcast and you're an artist and you're starting and you don't know how to get it out there, like your work out there, Ogden City Arts is a good resource to start, because you just got to figure out, you got to learn what you don't know. If you don't know what you don't know, like Leon, how do you learn things? Like how do you learn about, say, grants and stuff?
Just by listening, honestly.
To our podcast.
Well, yeah.
For instance.
Yeah, no, but really, it's just kind of meeting other artists and learning from them. I think a lot of times I feel like not a lot of people are willing to listen. They go and talk and they're like, I know more, or so I like to think that I'm one of those people that just listen and take in the 2 cents. And
Tara, how much advice do you give out to people and they don't listen?
Well, I've stopped doing that.
As a coach, my first rule is not to give advice for anything for any reason.
You get to a point where you're just like, it's hard because people need to figure things out for themselves.
Yeah.
Whatever it might be, running, art, whatever. Not learning to drive, you need to get advice for that. But that's how you become a more well-rounded person, is kind of messing up.
People want the shortcuts though, right?
Yeah, you want you always want the shortcuts. That's just kind of how it works. And sometimes you give them and you learn who listens and who doesn't.
I think that's it exactly. And I think that especially now that you're involved with Ogden City Arts a little bit more so, that just opens up more opportunities for you, right? And it also, I think the very first committee that I ever joined was so I can learn more about. It was a 9 Rails steering committee, I think, right? When the 9 Rails Creative District was being talked about, and they weren't getting much coverage and people weren't talking about it because it was in those early discussions. And what's the best way to learn is to just be part of those discussions, right? And so obviously I'm extremely excited to see another visual artist on the committee. So congrats on that slot. But I'm sure as an artist, you could still find that balance between walking the road the way you want to do it, but then also, using the experience of other artists, other art leaders and arts organizations that can, there's so many of us that are there to support artists, right? But we can't visit every artist's house as much as we'd like to, right? And so a little bit of that has to come from the other side. They have to kind of reach out a little bit more so. And so the more involved you've got with arts organizations and you've become more of an arts leader, has it helped your practice?
Absolutely. Because there's a lot of times that I meet somebody that's really, really good at digital art. And I'm like, so what are some things that you do here? Because I'm trying the same thing and I can't get that result. So they oftentimes are like, oh, well, don't do that. Just do this. And then it works. And then I'm like, oh, cool. I just elevated that. But even just being around other artists, you get exposed to different art styles, almost as different ways of creating art. Because there's people that like to work with the outlines and then they work their way into filling in all the color. And there's people that do it the other way around, which I can't do. I think I've seen a couple of artworks where it's black and white, but it's inverted. I can't do that. I haven't been able to do a piece that I feel actually happy about. And I'm like, one day I'll figure that out. But
Have you started watching some muralist like YouTube videos, like those time lapse videos?
I have, yeah. I
love watching some of those. Right? Even Don Rymax. We were just talking about him when he was in town. I think Cam McLeod and some other videographers put together some great time lapse videos. I hope that artists are using some of these videos that they're just fun to watch, but as an artist, I learned so much about watching these videos. And YouTube videos were not always around. I mean, I can show you that some of us in this trailer right now, that there was no YouTube to go to if you needed to look up a product review or anything like that, right? You just totally figured it out as you went. And so
I want to know if Tara watches YouTube running videos, because
I do.
Do you?
I do, totally.
Who do you watch?
Well, even just location based, like different races. You look up.
Do you get beta on some stuff?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah, okay.
1,000,000%. Just today, just looking up different races of people shot their own videos, which could be real, generic, just on their phones, and they throw them on YouTube, or anything else, or even just more professionally done, like directly by the races, or different coaching styles or techniques, or it's just kind of fun to read race reports of different places to kind of get more opinions too.
Yeah.
So there's so much out there, like on anything.
The point is, you got to do a little bit of research on your own.
You do, yeah.
And now that there's more and more resources, is what I was getting at too. There's just so much more. YouTube is such a great place. At this point, you can search virtually anything, and there's more to it than the 9-year-old that are unwrapping toys and making $14 million a year.
What?
Not that there's anything wrong with that lifestyle, but you could get very specific about techniques for stenciling, outdoor surfaces, that type of thing.
We were talking about social media earlier. When I saw that Don Rymex was coming in and doing the murals, I actually sent him a message on Instagram.
Oh, I'm so glad.
Yeah, I was like, hey, I saw you're going to be in town. If there's anything you need, just let me know. And he's like, we start at 10.
That's a great answer.
I was like, what?
And did you go?
Yeah, I did. I was like, I hit him up.
No way. He's like, we started 10.
Yeah.
See you there.
Yeah, so I showed up and I was like, all right, I'll be here. And I stayed there for a second. He didn't have a generator.
Yeah, I remember that.
So, so I sat around and I was like, here. So I called my father-in-law, brings out the generator. And then that's how he started.
Now you have a friend.
Yeah.
You bring a generator.
And I hope you know that Don tells that story of what you guys did.
Yeah.
To this day.
God.
Like the last time that we chatted, we had a nice long podcast right before they left town. He told that story. Mm-hmm. I read in another place he told that story. Like those little things mean so much.
You can show up in a town and someone will help you. And that was because you reached out.
Yeah, like it was all through social media, because I followed him before and I was like, he's going to be here. That's actually really cool. It's like seeing one of my, like, essentially kind of like idols, because I was like, this is something that I want to do. This is somebody that I look up to.
And I appreciate that you had that experience. I think that as a Ogden-based sort of organization that we are, there's a lot of Ogden pride in supporting Ogden artists, right? But I also know how important it is to sometimes to see what other artists at different levels, right? To see them working firsthand. And so
I'm a little more blunt. So the city, Ogden, we get pushback on if we don't hire locals to do all the local stuff. This is the reason.
On everything.
But this is the reason. And that's the argument is, but sometimes you got to bring in the pros from out of state so that we can at least learn from them. We can at least see what they're doing and like, okay, ask the questions, get to know them, and then learn how to take that next step because they're good.
And it's also, I see it almost as like an exchange situation as well. Wouldn't you love to work in Miami?
Oh, I would.
Or, any of these other places that he might be coming from, Miami or from Puerto Rico or something. I would love our artists to also go work in
100%.
Florida or work in these other locations, right? Because we have amazing walls in Ogden, but there's some good walls around the country. There's no question, right?
Yeah.
And so I'm so glad that you were able to reach out and, you had a positive experience. And obviously the results are, I love those murals.
Yeah, those murals are cool. And I honestly did learn a lot, because I sat there through like 3 a.m. because I didn't actually know what I was getting myself into. But now I was like, well, my father-in-law's generator is here. I can't leave.
And the scale of that project in such a short amount of time, it was pretty staggering to see that. It was very quick.
They're
work.
fast. Yeah, they're.
You probably learned a little something about work ethic on that.
Oh, absolutely.
So what do you think between mural 1 and finishing your whatever it was 5th or 6th mural? So what's the biggest thing you learned from over the course of the year?
Learning to say no, for one, like being able to actually be like, nah, I don't want to do that. Because on the very last mural, they asked me to fill in the holes in the cement. So it was 40 feet by 12 feet, 2 walls, and then the ceiling. So it was like a big tunnel.
That's a big tunnel, yeah.
Yeah, and they asked me if I could fill in the holes in there, and I was like, yeah, I'll do that. I don't think I want to do that ever again. That was a lot of work.
You're like, I want my wall prepped before.
Yeah, that was a lot. So that took me a lot longer than I had anticipated because I've never done that before. Yeah. But I figured I'll just throw in a YouTube video, learn, and then I'll be able to do it. And it worked out. But that's definitely one of the biggest things. It's just like learning to say no, set my boundaries, and actually stick to them. Have been probably one of the biggest lessons.
Leon, you got a show coming up.
I do. That's a weird segue. Hold on.
That's how we get around it. We just segue to I'll butcher this. Capítulo dos. What is this?
Capítulo dos. Yeah. So that's that means chapter 2.
Yes.
Ultimately, it's my second solo art show.
Okay.
So
and it's during First Friday, which is a big day here in Ogden. We got van sessions, and so unfortunately we can't make it. But where is it, and what's the show?
So it's over at the Bonneville. It's an office space on 25th Street. It's right in between Stella's and Lucky Slice, right in there. And it's all my artwork, but I did collaborated with a couple of musicians and bands around here. So I grabbed the song from them, and then I created some visuals for the.
You did a great video introducing it too.
Did I hear a laugh from outside?
Yeah,
I think so.
That's actually a funny story because I wasn't planning on doing that, but
And the one-liner was fantastic.
I just had like some extra time.
Whoa. Is this it? This is breaking news. Breaking news.
Oh my gosh, that punched me in the face.
Oh man.
Ogden News, where we're bringing the news about Ogden. Our top story tonight: a man ends up in the hospital after swallowing $150,000. Turns out there will be no change expected. For our next story, we're going to
No change expected.
You love hearing yourself right now, don't you?
Oh, okay, that's enough. That's enough for you. Yeah.
Yeah. That So that's from Colin Mockery.
Oh God, I love Colin.
Yeah,
Okay.
So I grabbed that from, and I'm a big fan of whose line is
improv.
It? Anyway, yeah, I like improv. I've done actually comedy.
Okay.
I can say I'm a paid comedian.
Okay, what have you not done? Because your day job.
Run trails.
Run up for air. Yeah.
Yeah, day job is like best barista in town. So.
Yeah, that is a fun part.
All right.
Yeah. So Friday, January 6th, at the Bonneville. Actually, it's pretty cool because I have a company that sponsored. They're like stickers that I'm gonna be putting on the frames, and it uses NFC technology.
Yeah.
So like what you use to for pay with your phone, like Apple Pay and stuff like that. You just tap the sticker, and that's just gonna direct you to the website. So each of the artworks is gonna be sold with the frame itself. That way they'll have that
with the NFT technology.
NFC.
Okay.
Yeah.
C.
I don't know what it stands for, so don't even ask me.
FC.
We got to come up with some words for that. Not for
Compliance.
Yeah.
For compliance.
Consumption, not for consumption.
So how long is the show going to be up?
Not for consumption. I think that Nano.
One night.
I don't know.
How long is your show going to be up?
It's going to be there for a whole month. But I'll be there, and the reception is going to be from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m.
And what'd you say is the music component? You have any live musicians?
Yeah, so there's going to be live music. It is from a local musician he goes by Fawson. So
we know Fawson. Yeah,
we had him on
van
band
sessions.
sessions.
Oh, perfect. Yeah, he's
great.
going to be playing music, and we're just going to be vibing. There's going to be.
Is he going to be making up on the fly, or is he?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I think he's really good at that. I think he's really good at picking up vibes and feeling the energy in the room and just matching it. I think he does a really good job of that. So.
I was impressed. He was very cool.
Yeah, so it's gonna be a fun time.
Snacks?
Yes,
Okay, see that's
absolutely. There's gonna be there's
when
a
you
big
talk about an
tradition.
opening, music is a nice plus.
Yeah.
Snacks are a good plus.
Food and
Sometimes
bev.
you don't have a
Yeah.
chance to grab some food,
Yeah.
so you count on that. And then if it wasn't in Utah, then you'd have a glass of wine or something. But alas, you will have probably some
I will have coffee,
some La Croix
hot
or something.
chocolate.
You'll have coffee and hot chocolate.
chocolate.
That makes sense, of course. Yeah,
Yeah, it'll be vegan hot chocolate, so even better. I don't know if that, but
No, that's good to know. Yeah.
great.
and there's a tradition in my culture where on the 6th, which is the day where the 3 magic kings come in and brought the gifts for Jesus.
Is that new? What's that called?
the 3 magic kings? Oh, Dia de Reyes. That's what I know it as.
Is it New Christmas or what is it called?
Yeah, you just said.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, but essentially, it's a bread that you cut up and if you find a little dough inside, then
Yeah.
that means that you have to make tamales. I'm not having any doughs or anything. I'm just having the bread.
This is the greatest holiday ever. You give bread away, and if there's a doll, you have to make tamales.
So whoever gets the little doll, which is like the little baby Jesus, they
Yeah.
have to make tamales.
I'm down.
Why is
Especially
this
if I
not
can.
the biggest holiday ever?
I just want the step after where I can get the tamales.
Yeah.
Okay.
But there will be no little doll inside the bread.
no
I'm just-
tamales.
yeah, and hopefully tamales eventually.
Okay.
I'll just have whoever. I'll just tell somebody. You got it. It's in there.
Yep. Oh, I
But,
love it. That's
no.
going to be so much fun.
Yeah, it's gonna be a lot
Well,
of fun.
forget Vance Hitches. I'm going to ditch you for a few minutes. I'm going to head down there.
Appreciate that.
I'm going to see if I can find the little baby Jesus, and then I could probably learn to make tamales over YouTube. See, it's all full circle.
See, full circle. Look at
Over
that.
YouTube, I could probably do that. too.
Also, because I don't know how late you're going, but Hectic Hobo and the Proper Way is at the Lighthouse Friday night at about 9-ish.
Oh, for
So
God's sake.
unreal night in Ogden.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's going to be like the fastest teardown band sessions ever.
Yeah.
We are going to close up. We're heading down to the Lighthouse. That's 2 great bands.
No, it's a great night. So good luck on your show. I hope you have a good show
you.
on Friday at the Bonneville.
Looking to celebrate with everybody. That's mainly.
Yeah. How can we follow you on the socials?
I'm under Noise Explosion on Facebook, Instagram, and I think I want to say YouTube too, but I'm not sure.
Okay. Very
I
good.
made a YouTube a long time ago, but
The next time you do, if you haven't already, a mural, set up a camera, do a little time.
a little time lapse.
I'm telling you, I love watching those, and I don't think I'm alone. And it's inspiring for other artists that have not done it before. So.